We have all had a front row seat to Elon Musk going off the rails this year as he continues to drive the site formerly known as Twitter into the ground. It's been a dangerous game to watch with someone so volatile in charge of a major source of information and political discourse. But his influence on U.S. policy goes far beyond that, ranging from space to energy to even funding Ukrainian soldiers access to the internet. As Ronan Farrow reports in The New Yorker, there is little precedent for a civilian becoming the arbiter of a war between nations in such a granular way, or for the degree of dependency that the U.S. now has on Musk in a variety of fields. In the past 20 years, against a backdrop of crumbling infrastructure and declining trust in institutions, Musk has sought out business opportunities in crucial areas where, after decades of privatization, the state has receded. The government is now reliant on him, but struggles to respond to his risk-taking, brinksmanship, and caprice. Ronan Farrow, investigative reporter and contributing writer for The New Yorker, joins me now. And Ronan, so great to see you.
It's always a pleasure, Joy.
Even though you just scared the hell out of me with this piece. I'm sorry.
Well, and I love you for reading that whole long tract, because we were talking about this in the break. This is a piece that is about those big themes, not just the scoop. So I really appreciate your highlighting that in a thoughtful way.
Well, the Starlink thing is particularly frightening. OK, so this is, essentially, he controls the access to the internet that Ukraine depends on to survive in the midst of a war. And he seems to be becoming pro-Putin and against continuing to help. Why is the United States government dependent on him for that? Why is Ukraine dependent on him?
As in so many of the areas I write about in this piece, the answer embodies a mix of pros and cons that it plays out across this story. You have the pro of Elon Musk identifying in a really canny way an area of government underinvestment and getting there first and putting his personal resources into it and bringing his no holds barred, progress at any cost, risks to human lives, his own and those of others be damned philosophy to it. And in the case of Starlink, his satellite system, that is, as you say, providing the backbone of communication in Ukraine as they need that communication for both civilian and military purposes to literally coordinate and defend themselves. He did get there first on this kind of private satellite business model and this kind of mobile station to connect to that network. And, I talked to NASA officials who warned that we're going to see even more dependence on him in this area because he's filled so many of the orbits of the Earth with his satellites that he is just going to be an ongoing, if you'll forgive the phrase, center of gravity in this world.
Let me read the scariest line. I want to read the scariest line in the whole piece. SpaceX is currently the sole means by which NASA transports crew from U.S. soil into space. And then you name a bunch of other agencies, which you could go on, the Federal Aviation Administration, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, and on, even the chargers that the Biden administration is depending on for this electric car. It's all him.
Yeah, he has 60% of the charging stations for electric vehicles in this country right now. So any green energy policy is going to have to revolve around and work with him in significant ways. None of this is black and white and simple. There are competitors in all these spaces. NASA is saying, look, we're trying, and we hope in a year Boeing is going to be able to do some of these things. But historians told me this state of affairs, where we're sort of scrambling and trying to find any alternatives at all in so many areas with respect to one person, that's new.
And is he stable? Because you talk about ketamine here, you talk about some behavior, telling his wife, I'm the alpha, and not that marriage not lasting long. Is he stable?
Well, while I think the bigger warnings in this story are about the systems of modern capitalism that concentrate so much power and wealth in so few, there's also a fair set of warnings about Elon Musk that some people close to him are sounding. And in a way, he is a perfect illustration of those bigger themes, Joy, because there is so much to be said about the ways in which he has pushed progress meaningfully, and we have benefited from that. But also, he is a figure that makes it difficult to rely on him. He is subject to erratic turns. We have seen him slip into political radicalism in a way that I think people fairly find hurtful and destructive to other human beings. His own daughter is a trans individual, and he has really descended hard into anti-trans sentiment on Twitter. That's just one of many examples. He's spreading a lot of misinformation. He is trolling people in a way that is very rooted in alt-right vernacular, calling people pedophiles all the time.
Yeah.
So you take a guy with this much power who is talking openly about his sadness, his isolation, his loneliness, who is, as you say, known and reported to be using a variety of different substances that can contribute to erraticism, even though, I should caution, many of those can also be used in healthy, medically prescribed ways. There are people around him who are concerned. And then we as a nation, and indeed as a world, have to be concerned because wars depend on him.
Yeah.
Major policies depend on him.
The thing I think that is the bigger picture, and I want to come back to that because I think it's an important point you make. This country has been through periods where we've over-depended on very rich men to fund the government, to do things the government should be doing. How many other Elon Musks are controlling a lot of our what should be government functions?
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because this story about Elon Musk, like most of the stories I'm drawn to, is not about one person.
Right.
You're absolutely right. There is a billionaire set right now of hyper-wealthy individuals who are less prominent than Musk. And because they are less colorful, they are pulling the strings in all sorts of significant ways. Now, Elon Musk is unique in the number of industries that he has this influence over and presents unique problems.
Yeah.
But you're right to highlight he's not alone.
Scary stuff, but I really recommend everyone read this. Ronan Farrow, thank you for
Joy.
the great work that you do. It's so important in letting us in on the scary stuff. We need to know. Scaring is
Back
scary.
at you. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Okay.